Moving into my new residence took a remarkably short period. My needs were few, my possessions crammed in the back of my '68 Volkswagen Beetle. A duffel bag contained my wardrobe in its entirety, consisting of faded denim jeans, t-shirts, and sweaters. I'd never been particularly fashion conscious, and this lack of awareness had increased exponentially in recent months, to the point where I threw on clothes each day with little regard for what I was wearing. I hadn't glanced at a mirror for months. I didn't care what I looked like or how other people perceived me. A second bag contained my meager linen supplies, a couple of tea towels, 2 bath towels, and a mat for the bathroom floor. There were no sheets, my only bedding requirements being a sleeping bag and a pillow. I never slept a lot anyway. One box was unpacked in the kitchen, containing a saucepan, a frying pan, and a battered old kettle, my eating utensils, a fork, a spoon, and a knife, and of course a can opener. My meals consisted mainly of cans, which could be opened, thrown into a saucepan, and heated. I owned 1 plate, 1 bowl, and a mug. There'd never been a need for more than that in my travels, as I didn't entertain and never invited visitors to my latest residence. My bedroom took minutes to arrange. By the time I'd assembled the camp stretcher, thrown a sleeping bag and pillow on top of it, and tipped the empty box from the kitchen upside down to perform as a bedside table, I was done. My favorite books, Wuthering Heights, A Tale of Two Cities, Jane Eyre, and a compendium of William Shakespeare, were placed on top of the box for the nights when sleep too often eluded me. In the living room, I unpacked my most treasured possessions: a foldable easel, tubes of paint in many colors, a palette, and my brushes. All the assorted paraphernalia I needed to earn a small income. Later in the week, I would locate the nearest Goodwill and find a cheap armchair to complete my furnishings. Once I'd finished unpacking and arranging the little cottage, I stood back to admire my handiwork, satisfied that everything had a place. Not that there was a lot of room. The cottage consisted of 1 minuscule bedroom, a tiny living area, a small kitchen, and a bathroom. The inside was reasonably clean, the outside remarkably overgrown. Located on the outskirts of Puckhaber Falls, the cottage stood at the northernmost end of town. Located off the interstate and hidden down a short gravel drive, there were 3/4 of a mile between the nearest neighbor and myself, exactly the way I liked it. Alone was my preferred place to be. My last stop had been in North Dakota, and I'd stayed 3 months in another small town. I'd stayed until the locals got too friendly. When people began to know my name, it was time to get out of Dodge. The goodbyes were always the same. People who considered themselves my friends waving farewell. I went through the motions each time, saying and doing all the right things to let them believe I was sorry to be leaving. It was a lie. The only emotion I felt as I promised to write, or email, or telephone was relief. Relief to be escaping sentiments I was no longer capable of feeling. I was drawn to the peace and quiet of small towns. The isolation helped me to stay aloof, and I preferred the ambiance. I would invariably do as I'd done here in Puckhaber Falls: drive into town, locate a realtor, lease something small and out of the way. I didn't want neighbors, didn't need people peeking at me from across the road, or trying to strike up a conversation by the mailbox. I didn't want people to know me. I would only lease something if I could take it on a monthly basis, avoiding any long-term commitment. In the back of my mind was the conviction that I wouldn't be on this earth long, and why complicate matters by letting a realtor think she had a long-term tenant? I preferred a 4-week window of opportunity to escape, should my plans to depart this life not come to fruition as soon as I would like.